Welcome to another edition of Boomer Bongo Boulevard. I'm Mike Just Mike. This is Ron Just Ron, and we're continuing in our series of two guys, two records, and two stories. Maybe going along with the records, or even more stories than that. Ron, this is our second season, episode 5. So we're already deep into our second season, or at least in my opinion, we're deep into our second season. And by the way, mash the subscribe button, mash it. We're trying to get 22 or 23.
I want 21. I want 21. It's like
21
like I'm in a casino.
subscribers.
21. Come on, baby.
That's what we want. 21 now. I'm going. Hit me. 21. And but we're going to talk about some albums that we like. We did it last time. We've had a lot of fun with it, and I've been playing a lot more music since we've been doing this around the house, because I've started thinking about it. But Ron, we're going to start off as always with you. What is an album you're going to feature that you grew up with?
One I love from way back. I'm talking like when I was 3 or 4 years old. By the great Johnny Cash. It was like
you're the one who
album. I don't know what he was thinking. It's even got. I'm not sure who drew on this album. It may have been me. I don't know. But it's a mess. It doesn't play very well, but still plays a little bit. I actually bought some more cover, inside cover, so it'd have a slip cover on it.
Right.
I've worked on it pretty hard. It doesn't skip, but it doesn't sound fantastic.
Well,
but it had a lot of comedy stuff on it, like
it was
Everybody Loves the Nut.
It was all comedy, right? It was all comedy. It was a collection of his comedy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm getting swallowed by a boa constrictor. Oh heck, he's up to my neck.
He's up to my neck.
Now I'd have to dedicate this one now to our old next door neighbor. Won't say his name, but if he happens to come across this, or his kids come across it, they'll know who I'm talking about. But he would get me to sing a song up here because he would laugh. I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world to see a 3-year-old kid singing "Egg-Sucking Dog." Egg-sucking dog.
My favorite.
The old egg-sucking hound.
Great song. Great lyrics.
He would just roll. I would sing that.
He's not very handsome to look at, but he's a dirty old egg-sucking dog. My favorite cut from that album, and just to take a moment.
Yeah.
Folks that think they're Johnny Cash fans, they really only heard him do 3 or 4 songs. Saying, what a serious dude. Least serious professional singer in the history of recording was Johnny Cash. But my favorite song is because the sound effect at the end is Joe Bean. They're hanging Joe Bean.
I was just thinking about Joe Bean. That's creepy. So it used to creep me out when I was a kid, It was about a hanging.
Happy birthday in the middle of his hanging, And,
but there's sound effects in that one. Swallowed by a boa constrictor ends with. Excuse me.
Well, that's true. The one that I think got probably the most airplay and maybe gets recorded by other artists the most is "One Piece at a Time," about the guy in the army who's shipping home meat. I think it is. Got to be on there.
Yeah, it is not.
It is not. No way. Well, in that vein, it is. I know Joe Bean's on there. Joe Bean's on there.
One Piece at a Time is another comedic song.
Boy Named Sue's not there. I mean, Johnny Cash has an entire album of novelty songs, and then he's got others that didn't even make that album that he hadn't done yet. That's how many he did. And
a lot of his songs have a tinge of weirdness and humor to them.
Humor.
Yeah.
But folks that just have a passing knowledge of Johnny Cash don't think of him that way. They think of him as singing Sunday Morning Coming Down. And
my wife's favorite song of his, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, it is. So it's Chris Christopherson's song that written for Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
I guess that's
Chris Christopherson wrote that, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. That's how Chris Christopherson started to become Chris Christopherson. It was with that.
Chris can't sing, but man, he could write.
But he can't sing. He's such a bad singer that he's a great singer. That's what I like about him. He just kind of like Joe Cocker. There's a lot of people like that. Okay, I'm going with, and anybody who knows me sooner or later, usually sooner if you're talking about favorite albums. And this is This is just the snob one, once again. Dan Fogelberg, not a super well-known artist anyway. He had a lot of hit songs and had songs that are still played today, like Another Old Lang Syne and Run for the Roses. But he just, I don't know, he slips people's minds. Great musician, great songwriter, a leader of the band.
Yeah.
But when he first started, Dan Fogelberg was only really known in a few places, and Mississippi was one of them.
Yeah.
Old WZZQ out of Jackson started playing his albums, and he, I think the first time he ever sold out a large venue was in the old Coliseum. He sold out a whole weekend. He had 3 shows during the weekend. He was going to do 2 shows.
I had no idea.
That was like 1975, I guess, something like that.
That sounds about
maybe
right.
76. And they sold the first 2 shows out so fast they quickly booked a 3rd show, and that's how unbusy Dan Fogelberg was. Dan, can you stay another day and do a country? Well, yeah, I think I won't turn my back on $50,000 or whatever he's probably put in his own pocket from that. But Dan Fogelberg, and this is, I think, his maybe
looks like
3rd
Fallen
album.
Angel. Yeah.
It's called Captured Angel.
Captured Angel. Yeah.
Captured Angel. And one thing, if you've never handled a Dan Fogelberg album, an actual album, he did all this with it. They were like books. You opened them up.
Yeah.
And you had all the lyrics.
I was going to say he always had all the lyrics, which was great. You know,
a lot of people would put this stuff on the slip, the cover, the inside cover, like they put that kind of thing there. But Fogelberg just, a perfectionist and wanted to do things right. And I just got that so crooked in here after I took it out. Now I'll never get it.
It's almost like he wanted you to be sitting there with your headphones and opening that thing like a book.
Yeah.
I think is what he wanted.
All the lyrics.
Yeah.
And of course, you could trust the lyrics. But my favorite song on here, and I'm not going to name them all.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them were really hits.
Yeah.
But a song called Old Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm still in old Tennessee, wishing you'd come home to me. And just should have been a huge hit.
Yeah.
And Ron, to this day, I don't know why some current country artist could just delve into Dan Fogelberg's first 3 or 4 albums.
Morning Sky alone from Souvenirs. Which is my favorite Fogelberg album, because you had brought that one. You would bring that one home when you would come and visit, and every time you brought it home, man, I would listen to the whole thing from beginning to end. Love that album. And, and I would miss it when it was gone. And, along with you. And I actually found it and bought Souvenirs, bought a real good copy of it, and I love that album.
Oh, that's
and I like super too. I have Souvenirs and I have Phoenix. Yeah.
Phoenix is a little later. And,
all of his albums, like early 80s. I think it was like 80 or 81, I think.
And this was to sell the album to the girls. You know, album. I know I had at least 2 or 3 girls over the years tell me, "Oh, I bought that album just because of the picture of Dan on the back." You know, I mean, the guy just, he knew how to cash in on his looks. But Dan Fogelberg, Captured Angel, one of the if you're a Fogelberg fan and you don't have all his albums, I'll almost guarantee you this is one of the ones you don't have, and you need to go out and get it. And you'll thank me for it. What do you got?
Okay. This is kind of an oddball one. I went with 2 oddballs because this isn't even his most famous album. It's Eddie Grant, who was famous for Electric Avenue.
Gonna rock it.
Yeah, this is called, what is it? Going for Broke. The only hit off of it is the Romancing the Stone, which I'm not even sure it was in the movie or not. I don't know if it was or not. He might have written it for that or something. But anyway, I don't even really particularly like that song. I like everything else on it, like Boys in the Street. It's just some cool kind of, rock reggae fusion, which was what Eddie Grant was doing, and nobody else was doing that at the time. And nobody's really done it since.
Right.
They couldn't do it like he was just really unique. I first heard that album. Our brother Randy bought that tape and used to play it all the time. That's where I first heard it, and I was like, you know how you hear something that grows on you?
Sure.
That was one of those that grew on. Yeah,
That's from Electric Avenue.
it
Yeah.
was just boys in the street. Running up to me.
Well, we said this before we started recording, but the great thing about listening to reggae music is it sort of affects your attitude about
Yeah,
life,
it really
man,
does.
for
Yeah.
a while after. And it maybe even changes the way you talk for a while, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and my wife and I
maybe the way
share
you run.
music with each other because she likes a lot of different stuff that I don't particularly listen to, and and we've gotten where we like different stuff that way.
Right. Eddie Grant.
Yeah,
And a dude named Eddie. I
yeah.
mean, how many? Eddie Money? Eddie Grant? Are those only two?
I know a lot of cool Eddies.
The old,
My son's named Eddie.
well, that's true. Well, the old, it's the old, what was the Eddie and the Cruisers movie?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen that.
It's just a fun name to say, Eddie.
It is. Eddie.
I
Hey,
had a
Eddie.
great friend from
Eddie
high
Haskell.
school named Eddie. I mean,
In the greatest supporting actor in the history of television, Eddie Haskell, I think
yeah,
so.
one of them, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think he's one
One of the greatest
top
guitar
between him
players ever is Eddie Van Halen. And,
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen. Wow.
Yeah.
It's tied between Eddie Haskell and Barney Fife for the greatest supporting
oh
character,
yeah,
at least
yeah.
in the comedy.
I got to go with Barney.
Got to go with Barney.
Barney's better.
Barney's a co-star though. Barney was
Yeah.
a co-star. Eddie was truly a supporting character.
Mhm.
Depending on how you define it. Finishing up, I've remembered how to count on this edition, Ryan, and you're gonna. You know what? This is unique. I have a book by this title, and I have an album by this title. Now, Meatloaf did not write the book, but he had a lot to do with the album.
Out of Hell, yeah, that's a great
Out
album.
of Hell, Meatloaf. Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth. And, just song after song. I remember the first time I really saw him. He was on Saturday Night Live as a musical guest, and he came out and just blew that place down. And I've told this story before on this podcast. It's been a while, but when I was coaching up in Connecticut for a couple of years, Meatloaf, and he wanted people to call him Meatloaf. That was what he went by with people. It wasn't just some name for the band.
Yeah.
It was a nickname he had, and he liked it, and he kept it, and he named the band Meatloaf.
I think he got it when he played football in high school. They called him Meat, Meatloaf or whatever. Yeah.
By the way, this is 1977 is the year Bat Out of Hell came out. And they re-released it a few times. It sold millions and millions and millions of copies. A huge hit, big album, one of the big albums of all time.
Oh,
and but to finish my story that I started, Meatloaf was loved softball, and he was the girls' softball coach at Reading High School in Connecticut for a few years.
And hilarious.
I went to a big coaches meeting and a couple of times, and Meatloaf was there. But because they had these coaches meetings, he was there. He'd have his hair all balled up and stuck through the back of his hat like girls do, like a ponytail, and he'd have a baseball cap on. The guy was there coaching, buddy, and doing coaching stuff. He was the head coach, and they were a successful team. And the girls, get this, the girls on his team called him Coach Meat. Coach Meat? I'm not making that up.
That's like Coach Prime. Hey, whatever you want to be called, man.
Coach Prime.
Coach Prime. Coach Meat. There we go.
But I don't know. I think my favorite song, "Paradise by the Dashboard Light's" a hilarious song, one of the funniest songs ever made. But I think the one that I liked was 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate song for people who are like, well, I'm just going to settle here. You got to have all this. You got to have these 3 things, and we don't have them, but we got 2 of them. So let's at least stay with it for a while. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
One of the most realistic love songs ever done. And Meatloaf did it. And nobody can take that away from him. And I'm done. What about you? Got anything else to add?
I'm done myself.
Okay, well let's done it up, and we'll be back in a week or so with another collection of Boomer thoughts on Boomer Bongo Boulevard.
Well, we won't be back in this particular thing, but I used to love the way Chuck Woolery, the late great Chuck Woolery, used to say, "We'll be back in 2 and 2."
Let's do that then.